Hi there, this is Yolanda. I'm a professional coach. Today, I want to discuss the difference of coaching versus mentoring, consulting, counseling, and training. The fact that coaching is often confused with so many different concepts is due to the lack of awareness. And there's some truth in it because all these things, when it comes to individual personal development, they drive towards the same direction of helping the individual to become better and empowered and easier to reach his or her goal. Let's first look at mentoring, right? So mentoring, comparing to coaching, mentoring is most often as a relationship. So when we say mentor relationship, you have a mentor who is usually your someone at work who's more senior to you, or someone you really look up to who's a role model. When people choose a mentor, they often choose someone who has walked the path that they want to walk, so that they feel like the mentor is in the right position to teach them something, and exactly that something they are trying to learn. A good mentor might be using multiple skills other than just teaching. They might be using coaching skills to help you to reflect and to make the shift necessary for you to grow. But before I move on to discuss the differences, let me set the ground on one concept. So when we talk about coaching, there are actually two different references. One is coaching relationship, and the other one is coaching skill. So when it comes to coaching as a relationship is, for example, if you engage a professional coach, let's say if you engage me as your coach, then my relationship with you is a coaching relationship. Or if your organization hires a coach for you, then your relationship with that coach is also a coaching relationship. But when it comes to coaching skills, increasingly, more and more people learn coaching skills, and a lot of organizations start to train their leaders on to have coaching skills and take a coaching approach. And doctors, parents, teachers, they also start to use coaching skills as part of their practice because this is a kind of capability that can ignite people's changes and make it sustainable. Of course, a mentor could also be using other skills like consulting so that when you present a challenge and the mentor gives you suggestions on how you could go about it. But coaches, so of course there are coaches like me who have worked in corporate, and maybe I have been in the kind of role, the exact role that you want to be in, then that makes me maybe a good candidate for your mentor. But most of the time, coaches are so generic that we are specialized in coaching, not specialized in the path that you want to walk. You might be wondering, like, what can a coach teach me? That's actually precisely the point. The coach is not going to teach you, as you are not going to learn from the coach in that sense. You learn from yourself. You learn from your mistakes, you learn from your desires, your struggles, your purpose. You learn from how you think. And the coach's job is to hold up that mirror to help you to look into all of that happening within yourself. Coming back to comparison with consulting, usually when we say engaging a consultant, that's a B2B relationship. But there are also times, for example, I was also hired as a career advisor. So in that case, I'm really wearing a consultant hat to say, okay, you are currently here with your skills, your experience, and your aspiration, and you want to get there, which is a very defined place of kind of industry and role, and then we map it out, right? And then I would give you suggestions on what you can do. So these are very tactical things, and this is the kind of consulting I do. But when I do coaching with my clients, it's very different domain, because when the client knows where he wants to be and why he wants to be there, it's very easy. We just work on how. But when the client says, I don't know where I want to be, I don't know what exactly I want to do, the target is floating, and the reality is also floating. For us to really build a bridge is not going to be solid. So what we do is then we work together on finding why. Why do you think you want to be there? what will be a fair assessment or an understanding and acknowledgement of where you are today and how is it going to help you. So we start to sort of solidify the two pillars, right, of now and future in order to build a bridge. More often, to build this bridge is not as tactical as I just described, right? It's mostly about our mental shift. We start to see sometimes people say, haha, I don't really need to be there. What I wanted is something else, and I don't really need to do all these things to get there. And there are times also it's about more empowering for us to understand this is not a very big distance. To summarize, in the consulting space, where I have my career advisory, we work in a very reality kind of layer. And in the coaching space, we are looking to identify your mental model. We are helping you to gain clarity. We are working towards the why and something that would help you to make a decision that you are happy with, and you can become bold and you become unstuck. Next, what's the difference of coaching versus counseling? So these two have a lot of differences in many aspects, but broadly they are both in the domain of working with human psychology. When it comes to our psychological state, there are people who have clinical mental illness and also, say, depression. You usually would think of counselors, psychologists, and psychiatrists to help you. And then when we think about coaches, there are a lot of times it's performance coaches or leadership coaches who help you to do better and perform better in your work. In reality, there is actually a huge zone in between, right? A very big mid zone. And I'll be honest that is where I feel I was on and off for many times in my career as well. So it's where stress is mounting and you feel like you are kind of slipping towards this side. Some of us have to go and see counselors or even psychiatrists to bring us back to where we can function well. A big part of my work as a coach is actually stress management. There are so much stress in our modern day life. It could be that we actually want to perform better and we can't. That itself is a very heavy stress. Or there are times where we are in the environment that is not really matching what we want to pursue and we feel stuck. And over time that becomes also stress. And there are many forms of stress even now, say we are all working from home and that lack of human connections make us doubt ourselves, our capabilities, and how others perceive us. So all these things can move us towards here. So one thing that coaches do is really trying to work on the prevention for that situation to worsen and to help people to move back into a more productive and happy zone, right? In this mid area, that's where coaches and counselors actually both work in as well. So for example, I have quite a few clients who are seeing counselor and therapists at the same time when they meet with me, and they feel like both are useful in different ways, right? There's no competition. So let's say if you really have this big wound from your past, your childhood, and all that, counseling is very focused on the challenges, the problems, and healing the wound, while coaching is not a therapy. Coaching is based in positive psychology. We want to use that force of what you want to achieve in your life to pull you forward. So what happens is then either that big wound kind of gets a bit covered and make sure that you are, still able to walk, or that wound, which was kind of feeding on your fear and your sadness, was growing. Now, because you are in a more positive state, it shrinks. And as a result, you are able to move forward. Coaching is to support you to move from where you are to where you want to be. A specific life situation. Say, for example, that organization just had a change and you feel this unrest inside you that you want to feel more settled and you want to figure out how to move forward. This is not necessarily the stress or that could risk dragging you into depression, but this is something that you feel has caused really detrimental effect on your life. There are people who have been debating whether they should move on from the current job for last 10 years, right? And they still can't. And over time, they beat themselves up and say, how come I'm such a person who can't take decisions? When we talk about performance coaching and helping you to go towards better performance, actually it could also be about addressing self-limiting belief about relationship, about how you work with others, about how you see yourself and how you see the situation. And I see myself working with topics like imposter syndrome, or working with confidence, or working with sometimes it's just procrastination or not willing to follow up, and a lot of these things. And once we clear them, you naturally move into a higher performance zone because your motivation and your belief now are fully aligned. So having talked so much about what coaching is and what coaching is not, I don't think I need to explain what's the difference of coaching with training or teaching in general, because coaching is not any of that. For those who managed to watch my video all the way till this moment, I want to give you a special offer to experience what coaching is. So if you are interested, you can come to my website at yolandayu.com, click book a call, and choose special offer. So this offer will be only available for the month of June 2021.